I'm getting ready to start cutting the wood for the timbers for the doors. I've got two pieces here, roughly about 6 inches wide, about 40 inches long. Calculations I've made, and my math is always really bad. I scratch my head looking at it 10 different ways. It comes up the same way every time, so I think I'm okay. But what I need to do is resaw these down. I need to get two pieces that are roughly 1/2 inch thick and about 40 inches long to start with. Well, I'm getting ready to cut the 1/2 inch stock I have for the camber doors. And I did make a measurement from the bottom to the top of the groove for the timber, and that was 9 3/8 of an inch, give or take. In some spots it was a little less. So I did make a test piece for a sanity check, and I'm glad I did. I went all the way around the piece, and actually I need to be at 9 5/32 of an inch. I've got my miter gauge set up, and I need to cut 8 pieces out of this board and the other piece of the 1/2 inch stock to that exact length for it to fit around that track, because the strips are going to be cut this way. Well, these are the boards that are all cut to the right length, and there's some sapwood on the edges of these. Now, since I'm going to be, I'll show you in a second, I'll be taking those to the router table and chamfering the edges before I cut them. I want to get rid of the sapwood because I'm not going to be using this in the slats at all. So I'm going to try to yield as much as I can out of these boards. I should have more than enough, boy, I hope so. And then I'll go over to the router and I'll show you what I'm going to do there. Well, I've got the board, one of the boards here. What I'm going to do is I've got a chamfering bit in here set up just to knock off a corner of this piece. I'm going to run it through, flip it over, run it through, do the other side, flip it over, run it through. Then I'm going to go over to the table saw and rip those off. Well, I've got the stock milled up with the chamfers on each side. I'm just going to come over my table saw here, and I'm going to run these through, and I'm going to make these 5/16 of an inch wide. Well, here's two of the slats cut. Again, they're 5/16 of an inch thick. So I've got this with the sides cut off. I just go over the router table, knock off the corners again, come back and cut these off. I need to do this a bunch of times to get all the strips I need. Well, here's one of the pieces, one of the slats. As you can see, there's a bevel or a chamfer on each corner. Now I end up with 4 extra of these. There's 30 on each timber, giving me 15 inches. And I've spent probably a half hour or so just looking at these laid out both sides. I've got the other one over here to try to match the grain, flipping them around, moving around so the color flows through it. And there's not any, even though those were all cut from the same board, there could still be problems. This jig is pretty simple. What it is, this is the same thing here. There's just a rabbet cut underneath here, and these are going to go underneath like that. There's a stop on this side. So once I flip them all around, put them underneath there, I'll clamp it with this side, screw it down, and I've got some wedges that'll go here and tighten everything up. The first thing I need to do, though, is flip each one of these around to get ready for the glue. Well, after I've got these all flipped over, they just are going to go underneath that rabbet I showed you before. I'm going to take this piece here, push this up against that to make sure those are all seated up firmly against that side. Make sure it's nice and tight, and then screw it down. Alright, now if that's screwed down, I'll flip it around here. I'm going to clamp it on my bench. Don't really need to, but I can, so I will. These are the 2 wedges. And I want to make sure one of those has as much purchase against that as possible. And I'm just going to start moving these up like that. And then I've got a little piece of wood here. Fits in here. And tap that. Make sure those are nice and tight, which they are. Well, I've reclamped the piece on my table here, and I made sure that this is as tight as I can get it. And it's pretty flat, but I want to make sure, so I've just got a board here. I just want to tap that, make sure that these are all laying as flat as possible up against the face of this jig. It's very flat. It came out real nice. So, and it's very level, very square, I should say. I've looked and there's no visible gaps. The last thing I want to do is when I spread glue on this to have it go in between there and glue it to the actual jig itself. So the next step in this process is I need to cut a piece of canvas to put on here, put some glue on it, and then glue it up. I'm ready to start the glue up on here, and you can see I put some masking tape down the edge here and cut it so it's only about 1/4 inch is covering. I want to make sure that I don't get any glue underneath here where it's going to stick to this. Got the canvas cut. I've got some a card to spread the glue, so I'm just going to use regular old yellow glue for this. Put a good amount on. Start spreading it. I want to get all the way to the edge of that tape if I can. Tommy McDonald, who I'm sure everybody knows Tommy McDonald, was an awesome woodworker, did a show on this. They also just recently did a show on the Woodsmith Shop, and they did some of the same things that I'm doing here. So I think in the Woodsmith Shop they use contact cement instead of yellow glue. I'm going to use Tommy McDonald's method because he's Tommy McDonald. Alright, so I got that on there. Just want to lay this out right in between those pinstripes. Make sure I don't have any wrinkles. That's nice and smooth. So I need to let this sit overnight, and then I'll do the other one tomorrow, and we'll continue on. Alright, it's next morning. Let's see how I did on this. Knock these out. Nope. Houston, we may have a problem. Nope, nope. There we go. There we go. All right. There's the first one. Now I'm just going to glue up the second one, and then we'll get started on mounting this one in the cabinet. Well, I'm ready to start cutting some rabbets down the front of the timbre. Got a sacrificial fence, a dado stack set up, and what this is, you just need to lay it down here like this. I've temporarily held these canvas flaps down with some masking tape. I want to keep these as long as possible for now. Make sure that's buttoned up tightly against the fence. And all this is going to do is going to go on top of here, and that's going to allow me to press down and keep it flat against the table when I make this cut. I've got both sides of this rabbet cut. Let's see if this actually fits. Well, here's the moment of truth. We'll see how this goes. I don't think I made these entry and exit points deep enough. I'm having some trouble here. I don't want to force it. Oh, there it goes. Alright, nice. And that's the first one. I just need to do the second one, and wow, that really came out well. No issues. I really love it when a plan comes together.